Good morning. You may notice that today's words are sometimes in order and sometimes not. Some are longer, some are shorter. Some words might even begin to rhyme. Others have slipped their anchors to time. Welcome to my world. If you want to know if you are one of the 5 million people in America living with Alzheimer's or another dementia, take a number, get in line, and wait. There's no quick way to find out. Dr. P informs me that the only way to know for sure is to scoop out my brain, slice it up, and examine it under a microscope. And by then I might be less interested in a definitive diagnosis anyway. The good news is that blood work, neurological testing, brain scanning can help narrow down the short list of maladies, including normal aging. Dr. P explains that Plan B is to exclude the other possible causes of my alleged memory and cognitive issues, to make sure that all other possible causes of my alleged memory and cognitive troubles are ruled out, leaving Alzheimer's holding the bag. So, I donate buckets of blood, and much more fun, I ride into not one, but 2 space-age scanners, once with radioactive isotopes bubbling in my bloodstream. All this takes time, and I use this time to become more educated about Alzheimer's. I learned that the search for the correct diagnosis is much more than pinning the proper label on my condition, if I have a condition. They are searching for a condition that can be treated. A condition that can be treated. I might be lucky enough to have a wonky thyroid, or Lyme disease, or syphilis, or depression, or, hey, a brain tumor. All of these can be treated, giving people the hope for a return to their former lives. The seldom spoken truth lurking around the shadows of dementia is that there is no return, ever, to the life we knew, the person we were. I learned that Alzheimer's and most other dementias are incurable, fatal. After some weeks, Dr. P calls me into his office. This, at last, is it. Finally, he has all my ducks in a row. Neurological psychological testing, complete. Neurological physical exam, complete. Blood work screening, complete. Personal neurological history, complete. Family neurological history, complete. Magnetic resonance imagery scan, complete. Positron emission tomography scan, complete. Though we have a full half hour to meet, he gets right to the point. I wish I had better news. Ooh, I'm listening now. Leaning over his computer, he reads findings. There is hypometabolism, most pronounced in the parietal and temporal lobes. To a lesser extent, there's also hypometabolism evident within the frontal lobes. Also, hypometabolism of the posterior gyri more pronounced than that seen on the frontal lobes. There is also markedly decreased tracer uptake noted in the primary visual cortex of the occipital lobe. So these are the data that the scan has detected, Dr. P continues. Hypometabolism means that your brain is not utilizing the glucose as it should. This problem is manifested in several areas of your brain. The conclusion? I'm sorry to have to tell you this. The results of your PET scan are consistent with early stage Alzheimer's disease, says Dr. P. It's not a slam dunk diagnosis at this time. We'll be following you over the months and years ahead to monitor your progress and keep an eye on things. I would estimate you have about 8 to 10 years, give or take. You mean 8 to 10 good years before I managed to mutter, well, no, that would be lifetime. A long pause. Dr. P and I are each waiting for the other to say something. After I don't, he offers, in the meantime, there are some drugs available.
The results of your PET scan are consistent with early stage Alzheimer's disease, says Dr. P, soothingly and solemnly. Thank God, I say to myself, I am not going crazy. There is something wrong with Sky. I place my hand on Sky's arm and watch his deer in the headlights look blossom. These words might be soothing to me, but they sure as hell aren't soothing to Sky. He claims he remembers little from that day, but with significant short-term memory loss. What can you expect? Can't say as I remember that much either. Some questions and answers between Sky and the doctor. No, we can't predict anything. Probably you have 6 to 8 good years, maybe more, maybe less. Not really answers then, mostly statements that could be said to anyone. Some discussion of medications, pros and cons, and whether it's worth trying one. Then we leave. We leave to go home after holding hands on the way to the car. In the car before Sky starts driving, and most of the way home, luckily it's not far. Sky makes 3 phone calls to his oldest friend, to his sister, and to his daughter. He will tell his son later in the day when he gets home from work. I try and give him privacy for those phone calls. I stay in the house, alternately crying and rejoicing. You may think it's cruel that I'm rejoicing. I'm happy, thrilled even, that after several years of knowing something was not right, I now know what the problem is. For me, knowing gives me the opportunity to do something about the problem. Not knowing leaves me constantly wondering, fussing, trying this, suggesting that, only to leave both Sky and I confused and no closer to an answer. Not that there is really anything for me to do now. This isn't a treatable disease like cancer or heart disease where one can research treatments, make changes to lifestyle, look for a second opinion or the best research hospital. There's nothing to be done here. I don't even need to educate myself about the disease as I spent several years working in a memory care unit in a nursing home. I know about Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. I know the kind of care that is necessary as someone reaches the stage of needing institutional or full-time care. So for now, all there is for me to do is to learn patience, and it won't be easy. Currently, there are 5 million people in the United States with Alzheimer's disease or another form of dementia. 200,000 of those are people with early onset familial dementia. The rest are just folks, people like you or I. It is estimated that there will be 16 million people with dementia by the year 2050. Dementia is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. In New Jersey, 170,000 people currently have dementia, expected to rise to 210,000 by the year 2025. 3/4 of people know or knew someone with dementia. 42% have had a family member with dementia. How many of you know or knew someone with dementia? And for how many of you is that a family member? It's not just the person with the diagnosis that has to live with the disease. Their loved ones do as well. There are currently 443,000 unpaid care partners in New Jersey, contributing 505 million unpaid hours of care valued at $6.3 billion. Unfortunately, it is well known that the health of care partners tends to suffer, and those changes add up to $296 million in increased healthcare costs. Alzheimer's disease is the most commonly form of dementia, but there are other kinds that appear similar but have a different cause and may have additional symptoms. Vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, frontotemporal lobe dementia, dementia associated with Parkinson's and Lou Gehrig's disease, and several other rare kinds. Whatever the cause of the dementia, its common symptoms are a change in memory, specifically with a loss in short-term memory initially, a change in language, the loss of the ability to find words, to carry on a conversation that makes sense, and the ability to read and write, and changes in what is known as executive functioning, the ability to make appropriate decisions about everyday activities such as cooking, eating, bathing, dressing, handling financial matters, toileting, driving a car, and shopping. Researchers still do not understand everything about dementia, and there is no treatment. There are a few medications that may slow these symptoms for up to a year in some people. In others, they do nothing or cause serious side effects. However, even with all the losses, many skills remain and some may be heightened. People usually retain or even gain the ability to sing and play a musical instrument, do art, play games, enjoy nature, and do sports. We know someone with dementia who has lost language, but whose math skills remain intact. Someone else who remains an avid skier working with people with disabilities through an adaptive sports program, and yet another person who not only has dementia but is legally blind, who has taken up crocheting and creates amazing works of art. Life does not end with a dementia diagnosis, but first, the testing required to find out.
Taking the test. In the summer of 2016, Jane and I signed up with the Memory Clinic, operated by the University of Vermont Medical Center, near where we live. From their website, memory loss can be a serious medical condition, or simply a recurring forgetfulness that affects many of us. To help patients understand their memory condition, the memory program provides evaluation, diagnosis, and treatment of age-related memory disorders. Sounds okay. I mean, they have some ways of reassuring people about their memory loss. My family wants me to get checked out. What harm could it do? Maybe once they hear a neurologist say, I've got simple recurring forgetfulness, they'll cut me a little more slack. And in truth, my memory is not that hot these days, but whose isn't? 66. You know, you walk into a room and then stand there like a post, wondering why exactly I wanted to go in that room. Yeah. Most of us do that, right? I seem to remember always doing this, but then again, like I said, my memory today isn't quite as sharp. So here we go, to the memory center. We make our way to the clinic. Jane and I are separated. We're each interviewed by a psychologist, and we're both asked about my skills of daily living. How am I doing at dressing myself, eating, getting myself to the toilet? Been in any car crashes lately? If this is how they decide if I have a serious medical condition, I'm probably in the clear. Then there's the hour-long neurological exam to test my cognitive and memory abilities. Okay, this is where I can shine. I've always been a good tester in school, and by now I'm feeling pretty confident about this one too. Clearly a major part of their assessment. This test is where they sort me. Ace it then, Sky. Sure enough, it's easy. Let's start. What am I holding? That's a pen. What is the weather today? What season is this? Really? This stuff is what they post on the walls of the droolers in the nursing homes or preschool. Come on. How about what am I doing here? How about something at least a little challenging? Copy this drawing. Easy. And this one. Easy. And this one. Still easy, but getting harder. And this one. Possible, but my brain is cramping now. And this one. Impossibly 3D. All these detail. Takes me 3 tries to get even close. After a few more hard ones. Now, draw a clock that shows 10 after 10. I'm ready for this one. I've learned that people with Alzheimer's can't draw clocks for anything. And I'd practice at home. Over and over I practiced at home. And I can crank one out fast and accurate, absolutely no sweat. I could do it right now. Now, how about some extra credit for confidence and speed? Do I really have to be here? My tester wants to know what this phrase means. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I'm sorely tempted to tell her one of my favorite jokes. The one about the Jungle King that ends tragically. People in grass houses shouldn't steal thrones. But something tells me this is not a great time to be a wise ass. After all, she's trying to evaluate my brain. I don't want her taking points off for a bad attitude. Soon the test is almost over. My tester tells me a long, involved story with numerous characters having numerous adventures that gets longer and more involved. Of course, I'm expected to repeat it all back. Then, a long list of numbers to memorize. More and more until I'm falling on my face in frustration. For a break, I get to count backwards from 100 by sevens. Yeah, try that. Next, I'm instructed to fold a piece of paper lengthwise, set it on the floor, then pick it up and place it on the desk. And for a grand finale, she wants me to tell her all the convoluted stories of the 15 minutes ago, with as much detail as you can. Ouch.
Life changes. Relationships change. Grandma or grandpa can no longer babysit, but they can still tell stories, teach a grandchild to fish or to garden. Mom or dad become childlike, and the child has to become the parent, no role they ever want or expect. Spouses have to renegotiate their relationship. Perhaps the one who has handled the finances or done the shopping can't do it anymore, and their partner has to learn how. Libido changes, and they have to create a new sexual relationship. The spouse without dementia may take on a more parental role, checking that their partner is dressed, bathed, fed, and safe. Spouse or adult child, one day they will realize it's no longer safe for their loved one to drive, and they will have to figure out how to negotiate that tricky terrain. Creativity reigns. Okay, I can't do X anymore, but what else can I do? I can't read, but I can still comprehend books on tape. What things will help me negotiate the now confusing world a little easier? I can rely on my smartphone or a paper calendar or a little notebook where I can write things down before I forget them. It's not safe for me to drive anymore, but I can walk or get around by bike. I can't play bridge anymore, but I'm still a whiz at rummy. There's no reason to sit home and watch TV all day. There are events to attend, volunteer work to do, basic household activities like vacuuming, laundry, shopping, snow shoveling, lawn mowing, and gardening to be done. Though you have to be ready for the unexpected.
Going to the store, number one. Alzheimer's, you are so slow. I can run circles around you if I want to. To prove it, I just drew a clock. Took 19 seconds, and it wasn't a bit difficult. Unlike at the store yesterday, $6.41. First, I hand over a 5 and a 1. I brought some change from home, so I dump a few coins on the counter. Quarters, nickels, dimes, 2 pennies. Uh-oh, now what? My mind gets seriously busy, jangling. Way too many possibilities, most of them skyrocketing over 41 cents that's left. Others, not enough. The store clerk is patient, watching me push the coins around. I really can't do it. Fine 41 cents. Store number 2. The Vermont State Liquor Store in Burlington, Vermont is a busy place this Friday afternoon in May. The colleges are winding down, the students are winding up, and the downtown liquor store is shaken. 20-somethings dominate the store, both behind the counter and in the long, polite lines of customers waiting to check out. The store is well prepared for the onslaught. There's this one old guy, 2 or 3 times the age of everyone else. He's kind of disheveled, wearing work clothes. Despite his small purchases, he manages to hold up the line, emptying one of his pockets on the counter. Why? Now the old guy is randomly sliding his pocket full of change across the counter at the clerk and muttering something. Homeless, maybe. Drunk, probably. Or he could have escaped from his nursing home. No, none of the above. Just me, in another cameo appearance as the demented one.
As the old saying goes, once you've seen one person with dementia, you've seen one person with dementia. We are all fully human and fully individual. We have different likes and dislikes, different dreams, different priorities, different spiritual practices, different family makeup, different activities we enjoy, different skills. Our wide diversity makes the world a more interesting and lively place. This includes people with dementia or any other disability. They are still individuals at whatever stage they are in their disease. Sky here may seem normal to you, able to speak in front of a group, to read and write with clarity. But you've heard about some of his challenges, and I can tell you more. In conversation, he may lose his train of thought. He often forgets whether or not he has eaten a meal. He has to check the calendar repeatedly through the day to remember what we're doing and what day it is. He often asks the same question over and over. In the meantime, he's still active, reading voraciously, gardening, playing the piano, volunteering at a community bike shop, the community sailing center, and our local community theater. He plays disc golf, rides his bike, skis. He's close to his adult children, his friends, and his siblings. And me? Well, I'm still trying to cultivate patience. I have learned to answer Sky's questions without saying, "But I already told you that." I have learned to give Sky time and space, or hold his hand when he gets confused or anxious. I've learned that I need time for myself which I get with long walks, lunches with friends, quiet time early in the morning when I'm the only one up, and time in my garden. I have given myself the space to grieve my losses and Sky's losses and our kids' losses. And by reaching out to others through our blog and through public speaking, we're hoping to erase the stigma and misconceptions about dementia, to help people understand that it's just a disability that needs to be accommodated as we so carefully accommodate other disabilities, and that people with dementia have as much inherent worth and dignity as anyone else. As Richard Taylor, author of Alzheimer's from the Inside Out, says, "Those of us with Alzheimer's disease can never be who we were, and who many people still want us to be, but we are who we are. We need others to become more informed, more understanding, and make more of an effort to understand us."
Why am I doing this? People who know me know that I'm not one to spend a lot of time blowing my own horn. Why should anyone else care if I'm having a hard time figuring out a restaurant tip, or who might be holding the Queen of Hearts? I'm pleasantly surprised that reflecting on my experience helps me to feel more confident and less overwhelmed. Like the traveler who finds himself on the detour to Alzheimer's Canyon with a map of blank pages. A little guidance goes a long way. So one reason to write is self-serving. It helps me understand and to learn from the often confusing new life I've got now. And if other people on the Alzheimer's detour, or with friends and loved ones on this detour, feel some comfort or support with these words, all the better. We demented ones and our care partners need to be recognized, respected, and above all, listened to as we stumble along this journey we never asked to take. I'm living with the assumption that understanding and compassion are essential to this world that we all share. My plan is to go on chronicling my experiences just as long as I remain able to do so.
A dementia diagnosis, like any other life-limiting diagnosis, is an opportunity to embrace change, to try something new, and to learn new skills and adaptations. It's an opportunity to talk about end-of-life decisions with your loved ones, conversations every family should have. It's an opportunity to heal relationships, to talk about how to handle care needs in the future, to explore the things that make life worth living. It's an opportunity to make a difference for others. And this is for certain. A person with dementia may lose their cognitive life, but they will never lose their emotional life. Love them, and they will feel your love, even if they don't know who you are. Life is precious. None of us can sit here today knowing when or how we will die. That is one of life's mysteries, and one that makes our days that much more precious. Live your life well. Face your challenges. Be there for your loved ones, and be sure to give thanks. Amen.